Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams. I think devotees will join in some time. More devotees. Meantime, we'll start Prabhuji. Hare Krishna devotees, we welcome all of you for the today's morning program, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. And we are very happy to have His Grace Gaurachandra Gopinath Prabhu. And Prabhu will narrate the pastimes of Srila Prabhupada from the chapter 55, titled The Final Lesson. Over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. I seek all the Vaishnavas, assembled Vaishnavas, blessings. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamagyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandegam Shri Guru Shri Yuda Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajadam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadodam Parijana Sagitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam Cha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swami Dinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshadarine Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namine Gauratashe Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhano Sude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpataru Besha Kripa Sindhu Bhaye Vaja Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate grim Yatkrupa tamaham vande Shri Guru Dinadarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Harihi Om Tat Sat. One second, Prabhu, let me share my screen.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, now you are able to see my presentation, Prabhu. Are you able to see my presentation, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, we can see.
Okay. So last time when we saw the chapter 54, Prabhupada has already came into Vrindavan. There is a beautiful pastime between his disciples. Like Prabhupada wanted to leave, he was not eating, drinking, and his disciples are requesting, "Can you please stay for some more time?" Then Prabhupada said, "Yes, Krishna has given me freedom to stay for some more time." And the devotees were jubilant. So there's a wonderful exchange happened between his devotees and Srila Prabhupada, and they started taking little juices. Now in the chapter 55, they entitled the final lessons. This is very, very important. I know it is some of you may feel very sentiment, and but this is very, very deep, very, very important chapter to dwell in time to time. It's not just one time you listen, but time to time, because the final test is that it's a surprise test. It's no more open book test or closed book test. It will be a surprise test. We don't know when the surprise test will come. And Prabhupada was he enacted this pastime only to teach his disciples and the followers who are come in the future that how one should die, one should pass the test of the final exam. And this is very, very crucial because every one of us has to go through some point in time. And Prabhupada set an example because he's a living Bhagavat. You can read Bhagavat and learn. And a person who is a walking Bhagavat, a person Bhagavat, every action, every word of him, every activity can be lesson learned. Of course, we can't imitate him, but there are a lot of lessons to be learned. So Prabhupada was very, very curious, or he was, I would say, he made a point that he wants to show everyone that how to live this world. And that's why Prabhupada changed his mind, even though he said last chapter 54 that he would stay for some time, but he decided to move away from this mortal world, like that. So we are going to see this chapter, how Prabhupada has been going through, and what kind of exchange is happening between loving exchanges happening between the so it's all happening between November 1st and 14th. November 14th evening 7:30 is where Prabhupada passes away from this material world. So this event, I have divided this session 55, chapter 55 into two parts. One is before November 1 to November up to November 13th. The events, whatever happened, we will see. And next week, because it's a little lengthy chapter and I don't want to rush. And next week, we'll see exactly on the day of November 14th, Prabhupada passing away on November 14th. So that we will see. Now I'll be covering November 1 to November 13th, his activities. So the exchange between Lord and his pure devotees always supremely personal and sometimes expressed in the form of loving conflicts. Despite the promise, Prabhupada said that his life was still in Krishna's hand. He had given him free choice, absolute independent. But even though Krishna says, no, you decide, but Prabhupada, like always, is a pure devotee, always want to surrender to Krishna, and they want to follow what Krishna's wish rather than they doing their own. So it is more of the gopis, like no, you do whatever you want. In we know that Chistashtakam Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prays, you may handle me roughly in your embrace, or make me broken hearted by not being present before me, but you are always my worshipable Lord unconditionally. So this is the mood of the gopis, and Mahaprabhu as praying in Sistashtakam. So similarly, Srila Prabhupada, even though Krishna said, okay, you decide when you want to come, but Prabhupada said, no, Krishna, it's your wish. Whenever you say, I will come. So Prabhupada is a completely pure surrender soul. Even though Krishna gives this free will, freedom to choose to when to come, but Prabhupada is surrendered and plan to go back to Godhead. So, but this loving exchange is what happens sometime. Most of the time, it is in alignment with Krishna's wish. But sometimes we see contradicting conflicts as well. In Krishna Lila, here two example was given. One Krishna Lila, Krishna is breaking the pot. Eh? Another Lila, you see the same Lord is surrendering to Mother Yashoda. Mother Yashoda is able to catch hold of him, and she's trying to punish. It's the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. So sometimes you see that the interest sometimes expressed having loving conflict. How Yashoda Maya, Krishna wants to enjoy on the day. He wants to go and play. And Mother Yashoda is trying to bind Krishna. So the Shaktis are thinking like, no, what's happening? Like Krishna want to play today. He wants to go along with his friends and enjoy. But Mother trying to try. That's where the potency expands, and she is not able to bind Krishna. The two finger shot, we all hear this famous pastime. That's because Krishna's intents are different. And also Acharyas explained that when Mother Yashoda was running, the flowers are falling from hair. There are two theories they say. One, somebody says, how can she chase Krishna? Then the flowers are falling. The other group is that, oh, she's trying to bind Krishna. We should help her. We might be heavy. So let us fall down so that she becomes lighter and she can go and catch Krishna. So the Acharyas explain, sometimes there will be a conflict of interest shown. Most of them it's same. So like that here, what's happening is with Prabhupada, even though he said he would defy the death, he will still stay for some time, but is still surrendered to the will of Krishna that he want to live. So that's one example is given here in this thing, the loving exchange between Krishna and his devotees. So Prabhupada has already expressed his surrender, because Prabhupada always told his disciple, when you pray to Shri Krishna, you want me to live, then pray with this. If you so desire, please add. Whatever you want to pray, that's okay, but we need to add, if so desire, please help me in protecting my spiritual master or something like that. Same thing happened in 1967, where Prabhupada given another type of prayers. He said, my master has not finished his work. So when you pray to Krishna, you want me to extend my life, you just go and pray that Krishna, that my master has not finished his work yet. This he told 1967, and 1977 he told clearly that if you so desire, if Krishna desire, let me stay back. So Prabhupada was very clear, it is Krishna's call, Krishna Balram's call. Even though he said Krishna has given free will, he will not utilize it. So when also devotees were inviting to various places, Prabhupada said, I don't know which palace I will go. Kirtananda especially was calling New Vrindavan. It was almost complete after Bombay project in January. Prabhupada supposed to go to New Vrindavan to open up the temple. And Prabhupada said, let me see which palace I'm going. So he meant he's going to Goloka Vrindavan, Krishna's palace. So this loving tension has been happening between the Lord and his pure devotees. Similarly, the Prabhupada is exhibiting with his followers. There is an anxiety between the Lord and the devotees. Similarly, Prabhupada and his disciples. There is a desperate petition to his disciple to stay for Prabhupada some more time to teach how to preaching field, how to happen, because the institution is 8 years old. They just recently, last 5 years, it has been becoming steady, and many are new Vaishnavas, and they all want to stay Prabhupada. The intense petition to Prabhupada stay. So another extreme is that Prabhupada want to show the art of dying it. How to die, he want to show all his disciple that the most important lesson is how to pass the life's ultimate test. This has been constant theme. So it was two extremes. So this created a lot of anxiety. But Prabhupada, even though he said he would live for some time, few days he meant, but he would say sooner or later I would return to the lessons on how a person should die in the face of end of life. So that was Prabhupada very determined how to pass the life. So one special feature of Srila Prabhupada activities is is always transcendental. Whatever happens, there are so many things happening. Temple project, there is a lot of update, devotees meeting him, but he was constantly focused on Kirtan and Bhagavatam. And it is that we need to understand that a pure Vaishnava is not subjected to karma. His pious activities, it's not that when the reaction happens, oh, we think, oh, it is because of his karma he's suffering, or when he is passing away, the law of karma does not work. That's why Krishna had given Srila Prabhupada your own will, that whenever you want, you can come. That because when karma is there, karma will act. So you have to go on specific number of days or specific number of breath. There are, when you take birth in this world, there are few things are fixed. You can't change it. Your place of birth, your father, mother, how many breaths you would take, and how many wealth you would accumulate. These are already predestined. Whatever come, whatever you are, this will not be able to change. But that's because of karma, number of breath. Yogis in Himalayas, they try to breathe less. They try to control breath because it's number of breaths you take, then you live for longer. But number of breath is fixed. They might extend couple of more years, but they have to die because number of breaths they will exhaust. But Srila Prabhupada is not fixed. Number of breaths are not fixed. Krishna can give freedom. He can, because there's no karma attached to it. So Srila Rupa Goswami, one whose body, mind and words are fully engaged in devotion service to Lord Krishna, is a liberated soul, even while living in this world. Most of the time, people misunderstand the pure devotees' activities in this material world. It's not only spiritual world, in the spiritual material world also they are transcendental. So one analogy Satsvarup Maharaj gives is that seeing clouds blowing past the moon. Sometimes the clouds would pass and we think that the moon is moving, as if looks like the moon is moving. But it is not the moon is moving, it's the clouds are passing through. So the Shastra therefore warns us, never see the Guru as an ordinary man subjected to karma. So we never see a Guru as an ordinary man subject to karma. He is Sakshat representative of Krishna. So when recently also His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj came, so you can see the elaborate arrangements where to receive him. That just because any Acharya in ISKCON, any initiating Guru especially, any sannyasi who comes is respected because they are representative of Krishna. They are Sakshat Lord's representative. Krishna manifest, because you can't see, we don't have qualification to see Krishna. So Krishna comes in the Achavigraha so that we can worship him, we pray to him, and second, he comes in the form of Acharya. So Krishna is Sakshat, Krishna is coming, he is trying to bless you, or he is trying to help you to go back to Godhead. So that's why the Acharya is considered as not an ordinary person. They are actually, Krishna is representing through them, and we respect them, we worship them like Krishna. So this is amazing concept. Satsvarup Maharaj says that never see an Acharya as an ordinary person, and karma never works for them. So further to that, we see that Prabhupada always transcendental to this world. Is always on the liberated stage, constantly thinking about Krishna. So, and Prabhupada lessons were always practical. It is not something Prabhupada never told anything theoretical and he never followed. Neither was the case. So he always told something practical. Even you read Srila Prabhupada books, it will be very, very practical how to devote. Even though you will talk about Sankhya Yoga, you would talk about Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, still in the purport at the end of it, you would see that and you will connect to the Bhakti Yoga, how Bhakti Yoga is either you will say supreme, or you would talk about Maya, the philosophy, why it is bad. Prabhupada was always practical. You would have dwelled more into Ashtanga Yoga, all the 8 parts of it, and you would have dwelled into more, or you would have talked about it, but it's not practical. Knowing that in the Kali Yuga, it is not applicable. Saman Bonam is the Bhakti Yoga. Prabhupada always will connect. One is that we are, however many number of times it is been told, it will never get into head. Prabhupada want to give the final conclusion, this Bhakti Yoga. So sometimes people think, oh, what is this Prabhupada always talking about Bhakti Yoga? Why he can't write something else written in Bhagavad Gita? No, he is very practical. And if you give something else, we definitely will divert it to something else, and we will focus on much more thing, even though the conclusion is given. Like, we know that Vyasadeva, he wrote so many Vedas, Puranas, but still it did not conclude on supreme authority of Godhead, the pure devotional service. That's why Narada has to instruct. So similarly, Prabhupada knew what is the conclusion required and what needs to be written. And even though it is repetitive, doesn't matter. And Prabhupada gave the conclusion. So he was always practical. And it was is Prabhupada in this book's example. He gave realized knowledge. It is not just a theory, but he practically applied the reality that he gave, and he practiced it exemplary way. Prabhupada walked the talk, and he never did anything which is he never wrote or written in the books. And his willingness to bravely take an austerity and face danger as a pure servant of the Lord, he never bothered about his inconveniences, challenges. He doesn't know anybody. He was very old, and he was going to a land where nobody knows about him, and a lot of austerity. But he still taken up all those challenges. He just went to the park and chanted, "There is no place," attracting young men and women of America. So through Krishna's help, he could able to overcome all these things. So Prabhupada exactly depicted whatever he wrote in Bhagavad Gita, and he just depicted whatever activity he has done. So there were a lot of impediments, but Prabhupada encountered obstacles, yet by his free will and help of Krishna, he surmounted them. This was a wonderful example. It is said that Lord Chaitanya, 500 years ago, made surrender to Krishna more attainable than Lord Krishna. When Lord Krishna was there, surrendering to him was very, very difficult. Even though he spoke Bhagavad Gita on the battlefield, Duryodhana, like that of demonic people, did not accept it. They even did not accept Krishna as God. But there are few others who accepted Krishna as a God. Then later, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came 500 years ago, he made more easy access, accepting Krishna as was possible. Whenever he went to the town and village, every town and village was delivered. And when Srila Prabhupada came on 20th century, this was further possible all over the world. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was only made it in India, but Srila Prabhupada made it all over the world. So as part of this instruction and example, Srila Prabhupada knew the final lesson what he wants to give is how to die. So he set an example right from the beginning, 66 to 77, how to practice bhakti yoga, how to construct a temple, how to manage temple, how to live a life. But now the final lesson Prabhupada is preparing. Number of times, Krishna's grace, Prabhupada somehow came out of the lot of danger situation. But Krishna has given him indication in 1977 that Prabhupada has to come. But when he requested Krishna, he said, it's up to you. But Prabhupada knew that Krishna wants to come back. So, and he said, this is my final duty, that I should perfectly show how to die, which is more difficult to do in this successfully to die. But there is a loving conflict with the disciples. He's not able to showcase this pastime because they are not fully mature. They want him to stay for a longer time, and there are a lot of enemies. Still, there are a lot of other people trying to take over or do harm to the society. So they are trying to protect Srila Prabhupada. They don't want to die. But Prabhupada made a point. At what point would they ever will let him go? So there will be no end, right? So when you think you are mature, that this point will never going to come. And what point could they say that the world of Maya and the enemies of Krishna were all gone? And at what point would this disciple become fully mature? These were the questions Prabhupada was thinking. There must be some end. This will go on and on. Every time, you something new find, something new you want help, Prabhupada help. But Prabhupada said, yes, this is the time I need to display my final lessons to them. So thinking all this question, Prabhupada decision changed. So sometimes he allowed his disciple to care for him. So the devotees recall that in 1966, when Prabhupada went to America, they don't know what is Guru. They don't know how to give respect to a Guru or Vaishnava. So they easily approach Prabhupada. Prabhupada will be sitting there. Then they all eat and go, and Prabhupada would wash, clean up the places, utensils, he himself cook, everything he used to do. And Prabhupada was accessible. he had intimate relationship with especially Kirtananda and other initial set of devotees, and they go and meet him. Now in 1977, the same thing is repeating, because most of the time Prabhupads go, only the GBC member would access. When he translates Srimad Bhagavatam, he would do in secluded room or something like that. Now the 77, in the month of November, Prabhupada opened up everything. Anybody can come, anybody can massage him, and the translation work will not go in a room. It will be an open translation. Prabhupada brought the same old changes in 1966 when he initially started, how people can just approach Prabhupada, and he want to make a point that he wants to repeat that again in 1977. One time Kirtananda trying to insist Srila Prabhupada, please have more juices. But he was very awkward insisting, because he's a spiritual master, you can force him. And he said, I'm not like Mother Yashoda that I can do this. But Prabhupada, I always remembering you as my spiritual master. So I'm not able to force, kindly please take some more juices. So that's how the devotees were pleading to Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada allowed his disciple to take over, especially Kirtananda, Bhavananda Maharaj, Samal Krishna Maharaj, Bhakti Charu Maharaj, Upendra Prabhu. They're all servants, and they are allowed to Prabhupada control on his diet, what to eat, what doctor to bring in, what Prabhupada should do. So he completely gave the control. Even, last time we have seen, he called the GBC to discuss whether he should stay or not. So he gave the choice to them, what he has to do. So this gives a wonderful analogy. Satswarup Maharaj writes, when Madhavendra Puri in his final days, similar thing happened. Ishwari Puri was there, and Ramachandra Puriya. So there were both the disciples were there, and Ishwara Puri was doing his final seva to Madhavendra Puri. And Srila Prabhupada writes, because he did this service to his guru, he became the spiritual master of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so pleased that Ishwara Puri has taken care of Madhavendra Puri in final days so beautifully. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, he must be my spiritual master. So Mahaprabhu accepted initiation from Ishwara Puri just because of these qualities. So exactly same thing is happening. You can see that those who serve Srila Prabhupada at the mission at the end, you can see they are very glorious. They're spreading Krishna consciousness like anything. They have become a spiritual master. They're empowering so many other his disciples to become spiritual masters. We can see that that's practically happening yet. So that's a secret. Seva to either Vani or Vapu, that is a secret of becoming a pure as well as becoming as Acharya. If you want to become Acharya, serve your spiritual master. That is the secret code. If you want to unlock of all the things, the secret lies that you take either Vani or Vapu Seva seriously, then the success is guaranteed. Krishna will be pleased. So Prabhupada had deferred the lessons of dying in favor of giving his disciple unparalleled opportunity to serve. But he not only allowed for few in Vrindavan or GBC or senior member, he said, anybody comes, they should come to my room and massage my body. They sit as long as they liked. The night chanting should go on all the time. Srila Prabhupada also recommended translating the Srimad Bhagavatam openly, and encourage all devotees to come to and lay in my bed dedicating Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada. See, look at this Prabhupada. This is a wonderful thing I'm going to read. This is not in the Veda base, but I've read this back to Vrindavan last days by Harisori Prabhu. The mood what Prabhupada was doing it. So Prabhupada was telling his devotees, never leave me, and I can't live without your company. They asked him to stay, and they agreed, consigning himself completely to their care. So Prabhupada told this world, never leave me, 24/7. I want everyone, don't restrict anybody. I want everybody, because Prabhupada is teaching how to die, or it's not for somebody. Then people later say, different things. So he wants everyone to experience, or he also want to give them the Vani Vapu Seva, personally, those who want to do it, so that they can sustain their practice coming days. And also he want to show publicly, this is the lesson he wants to show, how to die. So there is one letter, this is on October 25th or something like that. Rameshwara Prabhu, they write a letter to all over ISKCON. And Prabhupada fell sick, and this is the message they are telling. The theme is that never leave me, I can't live without your company. Srila Prabhupada says, always there must be somebody with me. So this is the conversation happened. So they took the conversation of Arisuri Prabhu, whatever he recorded, and this message, this letter was sent to all over the world ISKCON. So I want to read this. After that, we will continue some of them. It is just 1 or 2 pages, but very interesting conversation. So the title is to all ISKCON centers, urgent, urgent. Please read at once. So this is the letter. Dear Prabhus, please accept my most humble obeisances in the dust of your lotus feet. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. It is my unhappy duty to notify you of a most disturbing situation that has developed regarding Srila Prabhupada. Below are excerpts from the diary of Srila Prabhupada, personal secretary, as read to my phone by Harisori Prabhu. They refer to the conversation in Vrindavan on October 25th, 1977. So this is the scene, and there is a conversation happening between Upendra, Srila Prabhupada, and Bharadraj. So the scene is that Prabhupada's room, His Divine Grace is resting. Bharadraj and Hamsaduda Swami are sitting silently as he awakens. So Prabhupada is getting up. Prabhupada to Upendra. So everyone has left. So Upendra said, yes, Prabhupada. And Prabhupada asked, I feel very unhappy when no one is here. They are avoiding me. They do not want to come. And Upendra said, Bharadwaj and Hamsaduda Swamis are here. Do you want Kirtan, Prabhupada? Prabhupada replied, at least japa while I sleep. When I look around, I see the room is empty and I feel very unhappy. When I see no one is around me, then I feel lonely. Bharadraj, well, get some others and Hamsaduda Swami and I will do the Kirtan. Prabhupada said, why not all of you? You can't all do Kirtan, why not others? He said, not 1 or 2 people. Why 1 or 2 people? Everybody should come here and all of you should stand before me and chant. Then seen Prabhupada's room. Sometime later, Prabhupada has stopped eating all solid foods and is not even taking medicines. It is evident that His Divine Grace is discouraged. Aitreya Rishi arrives from Tehran. Prabhupada, please do not leave me here. Keep me surrounded. That will encourage me. You keep me surrounded and chant Hare Krishna. This is very little hope for in my life. Chant Hare Krishna softly all together. Do not leave. Everyone is avoiding me. These are deteriorating. Things are deteriorating. What is to be done? What is the use? Everything is frustrated. Prabhupada's room is Divine Grace. Was planning to go Mayapur, but the trip was cancelled. So like that it was writing, and they wrote the letter. After discussion with most of the GBC representative in America, South America, Europe, I would like to urge all temples act immediately as follows. From every corner of the world, temple should send 4 men, at least 1 or 2, immediately to Vrindavan for the month of November. In December, send replacement if the first man cannot stay longer than a month. Then men will have the unique privilege of being with Srila Prabhupada 6 to 8 hours daily, chanting, massaging him, hearing His Divine Grace translate, carrying Divine Grace on parikrama, etc. They will have the greatest responsibility of encouraging Srila Prabhupada by serving him personally in this way with devotion. This is the letter, elaborate letter, wonderful letter sent by Rameshwara Maharaj, that everybody all over the world, they said, please bring in 3 or 4 people. They should do 3 things: massage, chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and helping him in the translation. And 4th one is going around parikrama. So we will see the episode of parikrama as well next. Meanwhile, this was going on when Prabhupada told them clearly that never leave me, I can't live without your company. And because he wants to show this final lesson to everyone, he's inviting everyone to Vrindavan. So those who are blessed to have this service felt themselves breaking all the barriers and the material desire. Ultimately, Prabhupada given them the strength so that they can complete surrender. One second thing is they can sustain themselves in Krishna conscious. Eventually, after departing of Srila Prabhupada, they want to continue that. So Prabhupada also started speaking about the death, unafraid of the death, fixed in transcendental. And one time there was a Maharaj came. He said that Irdayananda Maharaj Goswami, and he said the books were printed recently in Portuguese, Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhupada was really happy. And that's where he talked about this bundle of bones. There are a lot of philosophy. I don't know if you can decode it, you can understand. This is a wonderful example Prabhupada analogy gives, bundle of bones. We'll spend some time on this because Prabhupada gives a lot of importance on this philosophy. So Prabhupada says that after receiving the report of the books are being distributed, he comparing that books distribution, he's saying that this life, this material world is just bones. This entire material world is just bones. The bones are not our real life. The bones are not real life. Our real concern is a living force. There is apart from these bones and the flesh, there is a living force. The bones may remain or go. It doesn't matter. The real life is sustaining the bones. So it matters to sustain the bones by the living force. There is even a history that there was a rishi who had only bones. So there is a science by which you can sustain life by only bones. Hiranyakashipu did it, Prabhupada said. And immediately Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, Prabhupada, you're also doing it. Prabhupada, you're also bone. He literally was bag full of bones in his skin. Prabhupada at that point of time. So Prabhupada said, yeah, so take care of the bones as long as possible, said Prabhupada. But the real life is there. Always remember that. The material world means we are simply all protecting bones and flesh together, but they have no knowledge of what they are. So Prabhupada emphasizing the book distribution, again the emphasis on reading his books, saying that we are just taking care of our bones, a bag full of bones and flesh in this body, in the beautiful skin, outside skin. But as we become invalid, we all know it is just a bag full of shrunken skin. Inside that we will have a bone. So the objective is that taking care of the soul, hearing Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, reading Srila Prabhupada books, that keeps one consciousness in the very much on the sattvic Visuddha Sattva, so throughout the day. So this is a very important activity to do. So Prabhupada is explaining that importance of the books. And sometime Aitreya Rishi has visited from Tehran, and he also started requesting Prabhupada, please visit Tehran. And Prabhupada again repeated the same analogy. Now you have to take the bundle of bones. So he said, I'm a bundle of bones. If you want to take me, you're just taking a bundle of bones. So Prabhupada like that was explaining and making them understand the importance of the life force behind the soul. And some devotees started comparing Srila Prabhupada as a Bhishma Dev, because Bhishma Dev had a free will to pass away whenever he wants. He was on the bed of arrows. What he did was bravely, there was no pain, as if he was sleeping on the comfortable bed. He started instructing Yudhishthira Maharaj. Krishna had planned, and he brought all this. Yudhishthira Maharaj put into lamentation, and he started explaining wonderful philosophy of Krishna consciousness, how wonderful is glorifying Shri Krishna. But in Prabhupada's case also, he was lying on the bed. But the situation is that his disciples not able to take his instruction. They were all crying because of the affection for him, and because the same Prabhupada was previously laughing him, reprimanding them, reprimanding them. That is not like that. Now he's not eating, he's physically not strong. They want him to physically strong and come back, but they're not able to take this kind of situation where Bhishma Dev instructs them and they're not able to take this philosophy. It's very difficult for them at this situation, all his disciples. So Srila Prabhupada, sometime he was drinking, now he completely again stopped, refused to take food and drink. But he said, it is impossible for me unless I nourish my body. It's not that I'm going to stay. There is no miracle going to happen. But at the same time, I have reason for his own. I'm not eating it. This recovery is material, and I don't want to do any material recovery. And he kept closely in tune with Krishna's willing, and he's always sustaining. The mantra is that holy name. And doctors also, they came who are bewildered. How Prabhupada is just living, surviving without eating anything. But the Vaishnavas can understand that it is the power of a holy name, as well as the Bhagavatam is Prabhupada without even drinking for many days, he's sustaining it. Prabhupada preferred to take Kirtan and Bhagavatam while at the same time sustaining a willingness to live. This is the amazing statement. I'll repeat again. Prabhupada preferred to take only Kirtana and Bhagavatam, while at the same time sustaining a willingness to live. He emphasized with his disciple anxiety and patiently explaining the puzzling situation they are in. So Prabhupada is trying to bring more surrender to his disciples and want to preach about the art of dying. And so what is happening is that Srila Prabhupada and all other disciples, they were making a statement to Prabhupada. This is a statement by Bhavananda Das. Your presence on this planet is the only thing that is keeping the onslaught of the Kali Yuga from really taking effect. I'll repeat. Your presence on this planet is the only thing that keeping the onslaught of the Kali Yuga from really taking effect. We have no idea even what will happen if you leave. So this is the encouraging statement to Srila Prabhupada. Actually, this is the fact. Prabhupada encountered Kali and he said it is another 10,000 years golden age. You don't have any place. So only Prabhupada, like, pure Vaishnavas, like, they can check the Kali. Otherwise, it's very, very difficult to check Kali progress. Only Parishit Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada, such a stalwart Vaishnavas, can challenge Kali. And Prabhupada said, it is not in my hand. I left it to Krishna Balram. So Prabhupada was very clear and in his statements. Even though Prabhupada was speaking very clearly, logically, he was still dealing in the practical matters of financials, even at this moment also. One thing he made a beautiful thing is the Bhakti Vedanta Swami Charity Trust. This trust is dedicated for reviving the ancient temples in Bengal and arranging final details. Still he was doing that. So when I was in Mayapur, you can physically see this Bhakti Vedanta Swami Charity Trust, how it was operating it. When we used to parikrama for the all the islands, now the 9 islands, 7 days, most of the places were rented. Whether we go to the school building or school ground college, they put a tent. Now most of the places ISKCON has its own property, or it is brought the land, at least where in our own land we can put our tent. And there are a lot of places remote. If you go towards Bangladesh, Ramkeli, Kanai Natchala, these are the places the temple is in duplicated condition. Wherever ISKCON could able to take, they have taken over those temple historical importance. Wherever they are not, they given the financial assistance, saying that somebody doesn't want to surrender or give it to ISKCON. Those places they constructed a beautiful monuments and said Prabhupada Charity Trust. They're doing a tremendous job. They excavate a lot of holy places. They buy the property so that in future when devotees go, they can see these places. So Prabhupada has extraordinary vision, and he clearly created many charity trusts like Bhaktivedanta BBT Trust separate for book, and this Bhaktivedanta Swami Charity Trust for ancient temple renovation. And Prabhupada was a visionary, and he knew exactly, and that if all the fruits we are enjoying, it's all the hard work done by Srila Prabhupada and disciple, and we just need to take this, enjoy and preach to others. So our job is very, very easy compared to those difficult times have gone through by Prabhupada and his disciple. So we are so fortunate. We are this third generation is so comfortable because we don't have any problem in preaching, right? There is no struggle, no, that time there is no place, no temple, no money. Preaching is difficult. Prabhupada was traveling in different place. We have sophisticated now Zooms and everything is there. If we are not taking this opportunity to preach others, I don't know, that we are wasting our so-called golden opportunity, what we have. So then Prabhupada was dealing all this matter still, and but it becomes obvious disciple that okay, then Prabhupada, they are not feeling angry, or Prabhupada promised that he's saying he will extend. Now he's decided not to eat again. They not felt angry or cheated, but they felt, oh, how this free will to surrender to Krishna. Prabhupada is surrendering, and Krishna wants him to come back. So he's accepting it. Who are we to stop him? So mentally decided also that we can't change these things.
Krishna Prabhuji, you are still referring the bundle slide or a different slide, Prabhuji?
Yeah.
No, slide you are still referring. Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Now what happens is This is so now what is happening is this point in time his sister Prabhupada arrives, Vishima they call it as, and she wanted to, Srila Prabhupada told them to cook kachori, and devotees were surprised and they said, Prabhupada is not even taking liquids, he's on liquid for a long time, suddenly he can't take solids, number one. And they all said, we don't know what would happen. And Prabhupada, they insisted, Prabhupada, no, you're taking food. I mean, you're taking only a liquid so far. That too, you stopped taking liquids. Now, suddenly you want to eat kachori. Then he said, Prabhupada, it doesn't matter whether what she cooks, good me or bad. She is a Vaishnavi. It will be good for me. So this next 2 episodes, even though it is 8:45, I wanted to show you a video, but probably we can skip that video for next week. Another 10 minutes, we want to see Srila Prabhupada humility and the conflict happening between Srila Prabhupada among disciples, in sense, Prabhupada want to go for parikrama, whereas some devotees say you should not go, some devotees take a side off, no, we should follow the orders of spiritual master. So that anxiety part we will see, then we will conclude by 8:55. So in Vrindavan, humility, Prabhupada see the humility. And I don't want to skip some of the words because it's very, very important how Prabhupada shows. Probably I might be reading some of them quotations. So Prabhupada said, one is she is a Vaishnavi. It doesn't matter, it's good or bad, I will take it. Then Srila Prabhupada makes a wonderful statement. Probably I have become little puffed up because of my opulence and success. Prabhupada saying, probably I have become little puffed up because of my opulence and success. Now God has shattered that pride. If you don't have your body, what is there to be puffed up about it? This is Prabhupada humility. Look at this Prabhupada humility. And saying, Prabhupada, my body is in this condition because Krishna want to teach me, because I'm puffed up by my success and achievement, opulence. And it is like a thunder. Bhakti Swami protested, saying, Prabhupada, no, whatever you have done for Krishna, on the order of Krishna. Prabhupada said, that may be the case, but in this world, unknowingly, you commit a lot of offenses. When Pishima heard this, she claimed, no, you can never commit any offenses. You can never commit any offenses. Bhakti Charu Maharaj again said, you are very dear to Lord Krishna. How can you commit such an offenses? And Prabhupada is explaining, still arguing, he is not giving up. He said, I am little temperamental. I use words like a rascals and so on. I never compromised. They used to call it a club in one hand and Bhagavatam in other hand. So Prabhupada was described as all other followers that he is a club. Better accept Bhagavatam, otherwise I'll hit you. So that's how I preach. Anyway, make arrangements for my sister. So Prabhupada was going so the humble way to expressing his humility. So there are 2 lessons touched me. My heart is that how insisting art of dying, he want to show to everyone publicly, to all his disciple. The second thing is the humility he showed in last chapter also. He showed asking forgiveness from his God brothers. That is still, the concept is continuing. Unknowingly, what if I committed? So Vaishnava Aparadha is the only thing which can hold back, not going back to Godhead. So Prabhupada knew that philosophy, and he is asking forgiveness even though unknowingly is committed. Knowingly, unknowingly, some devotees was asking, even though unknowingly committed, how do I know? So we need to be very careful in asking forgiveness, even unknowingly committed offenses. Otherwise, it is very difficult to go back to Godhead. So there were also visitors from Srila Prabhupada God brothers. Again, Prabhupada asking forgiveness. There was a Nikinchana Krishnadas Babaji, Puri Maharaj, Ashrama Maharaj, Ananda Prabhu, Purushottama Brahmachari, and 20 other Prabhupada God brothers, well-wishers. They are next to Prabhupada bed. Prabhupada was resting, and then he opened his eyes. Then he saw all of them were doing kirtan, and Prabhupada immediately asked he asked him to rise up, sit up on the bed. And he saw all the God brothers, 20 of them there. Then as soon as he saw them, and Prabhupada mentioned, all over the world there is a beautiful field to preach Krishna consciousness. I did not care whether I would be successful or not. People are willing to take. They are taking also. Then saying Mahaprabhu's Prithvi will come true. We have everything, spread the holy name and distribute prasadam. This is a beautiful field. In Africa, Russia, and everywhere they are accepting. So Prabhupada is requesting again his God brothers to preach all over the world. And Prabhupada started this. Immediately asked, please forgive me. And they all the 20 of the God brothers immediately started protesting, saying that you are our eternal leader. You rule over us, you guide us, you chastise us, you have all the rights because you are senior and you can do that. And again Prabhupada said, no, please forgive me. Right, I would have puffed up because of my proud and opulence. Forgive my all offenses. Then Puri Maharaj said, no, you never become proud. You all did everything. Preaching success followed you because you followed Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and on the request of Krishna you did it. There is no question of even you are being offensive. Then he said, Prabhupada, I am the most patita, mahapatita. I said, I am the most fallen. Prabhupada is protesting again. And they all said, you are saved so many millions of life. You are not mahapatita, but you are mahapatita pavana. You are savior of the fallen. Like that, they gave him, consoling Prabhupada. But Prabhupada was in a humble mood. Now, what's happening between the disciples and mind that Prabhupada never did any offense, first of all, and all his God brothers are also not considering his offense. But still, Prabhupada is exhibiting the great gem of this humility, asking for forgiveness. What is the lesson they have to learn? Because they all knew that Prabhupada is just out of humbleness is doing it, but anybody knew that he did not commit any offense. So, and Prabhupada is showing this, the preaching can happen also through this humility. And Satsvarup Goswami goes on the philosophical aspect of Madhyama Adhikari and Uttama Adhikari. So there is a Madhyama Adhikari. Person is a Madhyama Adhikari, is a second class devotee. He differentiates between who is a devotee, non-devotee, demands. But a Mahabhagavata, he never differentiate between different devotees. Then one might ask, is Prabhupada is not a Mahabhagavat? Only the preachers are Madhyama Adhikaris. You might ask why Prabhupada is Mahabhagavata. He will not differentiate the difference between any living entity. How can then he differentiate and preach? So sometimes the Mahabhagavata comes to the platform of Madhyama Adhikari just for preaching, for compassionate and for Krishna conscious. They might come to the platform. But Prabhupada is always a Mahabhagavat, always remained as Uttama Adhikari. Uttama Adhikari doesn't matter if somebody is giving respect or not. He would just travel around. He would always be in Krishna consciousness. But Madhyama Adhikari has to preach. He has to identify whom to preach. He has to make distinction. And Prabhupada did that. That's because he had a compassionate for the fallen conditioned soul. So he has to come from Uttama Adhikari platform to Madhyama Adhikari to do this pastime. So that's how we need to understand. It's not that Prabhupada is a Madhyama Adhikari. So wonderful explanation by Maharaj. Then the interesting episode of another 8 minutes we have. I'll try to complete this 8 minutes winding up of this parikrama pastime. The controversy between Prabhupada's disciple and His Holiness Loknath Goswami came and he gave a report. So he gave a report on parikrama, what he was doing it. And he said he recently went to, where is that? He went to Tirthas like Badrikashrama and Bhim Kapoor. I don't know where it is. So then Prabhupada was really happy. Then he said, let me also travel Vrindavan. I want to go on parikrama. Then Prabhupada, it is a shock for Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Bhakti Charu Maharaj, and everyone others. They said, Prabhupada, these roads are very bad. Your body is fragile. It's just a bones. He can't even turn himself. Somebody has to turn his hip and turn his arms. Prabhupada was just in a bag full of bones. And they said, you can't survive this rough treatment of the roads. Prabhupada said, dying on parikrama is glorious. He said, I'm decided, I want to go on parikrama. Then the two group of dividers, the doctor told Prabhupada will not survive if he goes on parikrama, that to Bullakat. And then there are two divisions. Loknath Maharaj and other Hamsatuta, they suggested this is Guru Maharaj order, let us do it. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Bhavananda Maharaj, Bhakti Charu Maharaj on the other side, what will happen, Prabhupada? You will not survive. And they are planning for Govardhan 6 Goswami temple, after that Govardhan Puja, Govardhan Parikrama. This is the plan, and they are making elaborate arrangement, bulla carts and things like that. And their anxiety among all these disciples. And Prabhupada said, one day experiment. I will try for one day. rest assured that I will not die in one day. Then we will. I like the idea of Govardhana, and we all cooked there. And Loknath Maharaj gave a lot of assurance that we'll make a good picnic and things like that. The discussion was going back, and Prabhupada said, "Yes, tomorrow morning I'm going on Vrindavan Parikrama on Bullock cart to Govardhan." Prabhupada decided, and that night, some devotees were restless. His Holiness Tamal Krishna Maharaj, Bhakti Char Maharaj, and that time Niskinchana Krishnadas Babaji Maharaj in the night, day before, and they're all speaking in English, and he was chanting. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj and Bhavananda came to Prabhupada, and there were a lot of anxiety on the face. They just stood, and Prabhupada knew that what for they came. And Prabhupada said, "You request me not to go?" Well, Srila Prabhupada, Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, "I will tell you, I am getting so upset sitting in the room upstairs. I was walking around. Two of the devotees told me that the roads is so bad that if you go on this road, you are going to be jolted back and forth. The road is terrible. I just can't understand, Srila Prabhupada, why it has to be tomorrow that we have to go. If anybody wants you to travel, I will let you go after some time when you recover. But why do you have to go only in this condition? I don't understand. Why are you throwing everything out of the window that we must go tomorrow? I can't understand." This was a statement by Tamal Krishna Maharaj. See the loving exchange of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada said, "All right," said Srila Prabhupada softly, immediately agreeing the proposal that he will not go. Then Bhakti Char Maharaj shouting Jai Srila Prabhupada. And Bhavananda, everybody said, "Thank you, Srila Prabhupada." Prabhupada asked, "Are you satisfied?" Then they all said, "Now I am satisfied." I was in too much anxiety. Then Prabhupada said, "Never mind, I never shall put you into anxiety." Actually, Srila Prabhupada, Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, "We are so much attached to you that you are practically drive us madness. Sometime tonight we are becoming a mad." So then Prabhupada was telling Akinchana Maharaj, Niskinchana Krishnadas Babaji, "See how much of my devotees have for me." So like that, and they said, Tamal Krishna Maharaj said, "Srila Prabhupada, the way you deal with us simply deepens our attachment every moment." And Prabhupada said, "That's my duty to all make you attached by serving, and you can go back to Godhead." So with this, I would stop here. It's exactly 8:57. If you have any comments or reflection, we can discuss. And somebody can do next week, starting from November 14th, the day on 7:30 p.m. exactly what Prabhupada passing away, that episode of the actual passing away of Srila Prabhupada, and the rest of the content next week. I would stop here. That's all I had, and I wanted to show some video, but that would be a 5-10 minutes length. But we will see the reflection, then we have time, then we can see, or we can next week also we can see that video.
Thank you, Prabhuji. If you still want to play video for 5 minutes, you can, Prabhuji.
Okay. Let me know if you're able to see the audio video. Are you able to?
Yes, Prabhuji.
His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, was a pure devotee of Lord Krishna, and therefore his entire life, including his passing from this mortal world, was a perfect example of Krishna consciousness. This video depicts his final pastimes. During his last months in Vrindavan, His Divine Grace continued to instruct his disciples, discuss the affairs of ISKCON, and translate Srimad Bhagavatam. On his request, his disciples maintained 24-hour kirtan and readings from the scriptures. Srila Prabhupada invited all his disciples to be with him as he passed the test we all must face. However, due to circumstances often beyond their control, most of his disciples were not present. Now, those who choose to can experience those precious moments. Although these scenes can be emotionally wrenching, they do depict a rare transcendental event, the last chapter in Srila Prabhupada's glorious life. The final lesson.
Prabhuji, we see only the picture of Prabhupada, we don't see any video.
Now you see the video.
Now we are seeing.
Yeah, that
Out
video
of
is
many
made like
thousands
that.
of men, one may endeavor for perfection. And among many millions who have achieved perfection, one may be a devotee of Lord Krishna. Such a devotee who is fully peaceful is extremely rare.
Being situated in his original Krishna-conscious position, a pure devotee does not identify with the body. Such a devotee should not be seen from a materialistic point of view. Indeed, one should overlook a devotee's having a diseased or infirm body. According to ordinary vision, such imperfections may seem prominent in the body of a pure devotee, but despite such seeming defects, the body of a pure devotee cannot be polluted. It's exactly like the waters of the Ganges, which remain pure although filled with bubbles, foam, and mud during the rainy season. Those who are advanced in spiritual understanding bathe in the Ganges without considering the condition of the water.
Experience the presence of the Supersoul.
The verdict of all revealed scriptures is that by even a moment's association with a pure devotee, one can attain all success. That
if we engage in devotional service, we get a different nature. And if we engage in the business of sense gratification, the result is different.
And then that karma is taddeholpalabdhi hetu.
Yeah. And according to the association of different nature, we get a body. Karanam gunasammasya satasat janmajoni. Therefore, we should always seek good association, devotee association. Then on life will be successful.
And then last it says the gunas, satvadayo, jnana vikshepa moha hetavaha.
Then, if we live with good association, then we cultivate knowledge. And that means association. A man is known by his company. So, if we have the chance of association with devotees, then our character, nature become different. By hearing, by discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, this Rajagun Tamagun are subdued. Then Satagun remains. Nastapayasa, or what they Nityam Bhagavatasya. Then Ratagun Tamagun cannot do us harm. Therefore, Varnashram Dharma is so essential that people remain in Sattva. Tamagun, Rajagun, Rajastama Bhava increases lust and greediness, and that implicates the living entity to exist in this material world.
I will stop in a minute.
In many forms. That is very dangerous. Therefore, they should be brought into Sattva, that is establishment of Varnashram Dharma. How to bring people in Sattva with Brahminical qualification, very neat and clean, rise early in the morning, this Mangalarati in this way, to stay in Sattva.
Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji, for showing the wonderful video. And it was, I'm not in a position to comment, but at the end, like when I see Srila Prabhupada, even in that position, like his consciousness was so clear, like how he was translating and saying all the slokas, which was very relevant, Prabhuji. And he have narrated very wonderfully. And the lines are already unmuted, so devotees can unmute and ask any questions.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, wonderful narration. Prabhu, at that time, Srila Prabhupada's wife was alive, Prabhu?
Which one?
Srila Prabhupada's wife, was she alive when he was passing away?
Not wife, that was sister. Pishima. Pishima was sister.
Sister, Prabhu, I know. But what about Prabhupada's wife? Is she alive?
I think so.
Okay.
Not too sure, but I think so. Other devotees can confirm. Because at least his son was there. He came, was associated with his son after even Prabhupada passing away in Mayapur. Like that. But yes, his wife also should have been there.
Thank you very much for the wonderful narration and also the video. Prabhu, is this video available on
Yeah,
YouTube
yeah.
or something?
Yeah, final lesson. Search for final lesson.
Yes. Thank you.
Hare Krishna devotees, any other comments, sir?
Yeah, thank you very much for the wonderful narration, Prabhu. It's very
Thank you,
nice to
Maharaj.
see you even. Thanks a lot. Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Thanks, Prabhu, once again, and we'll end the class with the Vaishnava Pranam. Vancha
Apaturo
kalpatarupesha.
Besha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patita Nam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo. Anant Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for the once again